Sure that we're in here before. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, so welcome to, or do you have any questions for me before we get started? Because I'm just going to go right into it then. Okay, awesome. Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. I'm super excited. We have Brittany Allen from Project Runway here to chat and give us the scoop on her time on Project Runway, what she's been up to now, and just everything about her. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess we could start right into it. I've been looking at your social media. You are a super motivating person. I love everything you're doing with the face mask. You've been also sharing some really just very incredible stories about how you got to where you are. So first off, let's start with that. Like, I would love to hear kind of how your Project Runway journey even started.
Yeah, it feels like 100 years ago, honestly, now. It went so fast, but so I tried out like a couple times before I actually made the cast, which is really interesting. And I feel like a lot of people do, just to, I started like right out of college and I tried out and looking back, like I had no idea who I was as a designer, like, just like coming out of school and I'm like, here are my projects and like, look at what I can do. So I just really needed like an identity, but I feel like a lot of designers that go on the show, they try out a lot of times. And then this year just happened to be, my year. Like you just kind of wait. You have to wait for your time.
Which, not to like change the subject real quick, but you talking about that I think is so important because a lot of people want to give up. So like what made you keep trying out?
Well, for me, honestly, if somebody tells me like I can't do something or doesn't, I guess if I don't get what I want, I just keep like it gives me more motivation to like do it. Yeah. And so I'm very motivated to like see through my dreams. Like if I have something in my mind and I really, really want it, I'm just going to keep going for it.
Yeah.
It was very like, I don't know. I mean, it hurt my feelings. I really, really wanted the show a long time ago. And then every single season that I've tried out, it's like, I really, really wanted it. And so of course my heart was broken and it was like, it was devastating.
I think a lot of people like see you on there and they just assume, oh, she's just the designer who got right on the show. And nope. I think there's so many people, that would like to follow in your footsteps, but they might try and get rejected and they're like, oh, they didn't keep
going for it. So many designers that have been throughout this entire like journey of the show, like all 18 seasons, that have tried out 3, 4, 5. There was one person that I know from one season that actually made it in the final 3 that had tried out 10 times.
Wow.
Like you just have to keep going because reality TV is a puzzle piece. I mean, you all have to fit together. You all have to look good together. That you have to know that you're going to get along or like that your personalities are going to click. And so it's just, while it may like be your talent or it may not be your talent, it's also got to be something that you're really good for TV or you're going to make sense for that season or what they want for that season. And so it's just something you just got to keep going for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
No, that's great to know. I just feel like people want to go after these dreams and they see people like you and they look up to you as like people that want to be designers or have their own line, and it can be intimidating or discouraging. So I just think that's really fascinating to know that.
Keep pushing.
So you kept pushing.
That's like anything in life. Like somebody, we're going to get 100 no's if we get one yes, and all it takes is just one yes. And if you give up after the first no, then it's not really that good.
What was it like then going through the process when you were getting that yes?
Oh man, it was very surreal. I mean, of course I auditioned. I took all my clothes. They love all the clothes. Just really showing collections, but also just being myself, because one of the things that I really told myself about the audition process is if I tried to pretend to be someone else or try to be the person that I think that they want me to be, that's going to be super exhausting to have to like keep up with, especially like after the show is filmed, for me to be this persona. And so, trying out so many times, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be me. And if they like it, great. If they don't, then whatever. So I guess this time it was maybe different, and they were like, okay, finally you're yourself, or I don't know what the whole thing was. But that was kind of one of the things that I told myself. I was like, it's going to be exhausting for you to keep up with it. Just be you, like really give them Brittany. And so I did that, and it really did pay off. But they called me and they were like, yeah, you've been chosen for Project Runway. And it was very like, it didn't hit me until like a week after, like right before I was about to leave. But yeah, in that moment, I was just like, is this like I feel like this is a prank call, big punked or something. Like, this is not real. Are you sure you're calling the right person? Yeah, it was crazy.
And so prior to Project Runway, you were already designing though, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I started doing in 2013. But it was mostly for like brand awareness. I was doing like fashion shows. This is the time where I had my brand kind of to showcase on the side, but I was working for so many companies as well, doing all this like freelance and all this design work. That was how I was kind of like making my income, but I also wanted to like showcase my own design aesthetic. And so I was like showing, different fashion weeks. But it wasn't until I think 2016 where I was like, you know what, it's either now or never that I just like really go forward with this brand and really do this for myself, because I was making so many people so much money, and it was like, why can't I do this for myself? I was dressing like celebrities, and it's like they'll never know who I am because my name's not on the tag. Like, that's so depressing. So you just hit like you hit that bottom. It's kind of like me gaining weight. Like, I'm like, okay, I've gained enough weight, I need to lose a little weight. It's kind of like you get to that point in your life or career or whatever, this journey of life. It's like, I can do this for myself instead of doing it for other people.
Yeah, that's like a big like risk though. So were you like your biggest supporter, or did you have people around you supporting you?
I was the biggest critic. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like, who am I kidding? Who have I fooled? Especially with getting Project Runway. Like, right before I left, I had this like wave of self-doubt, and I was like, who did I trick into thinking that I can do this? Who has been manipulated beyond belief? But then I won the first challenge, and I mean, that was kind of real for me too.
What was that like? Because you said like you were obviously a fan of the show before you went on it. So then you get there, you win the first challenge. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, like in previous seasons, it's always like, I mean, majority of people, the first person that wins the first challenge winner always typically kind of like goes far, because it's like you're in this new competition. There's not 12 people, there's not 10 people, there's 16 people total in this workroom, and it's like the whole original cast. And like, if you can beat, if you can win the first challenge amongst all 16 people, it's like, oh, I can win this whole thing. Like, if I can win one challenge against the whole cast, I might have a chance here. But again, like, whenever I was going in, I was like, I have so much self-doubt. Like, who did I trick into thinking that I can be in this competition? What have I done? And then it was like, okay, you can sit down and you can like breathe really deep, because you have immunity for the next challenge. But also, like, this is the validation that you are where you are, like where you're supposed to be in this moment, and just like write it out and enjoy it, and just really like milk it for everything it's worth, and don't take advantage of the situation.
And when you were competing in that challenge and just all of them, like, were you feeling the pressure that we see on TV? Like,
oh my God, yeah, I wanted to puke. 17 hours straight when we were in the workroom. They had that first day, like, you're just like shaking, because you're like, I don't know really what to do first. Like, do I really spend the time to pattern to make something really, really beautifully fit, and maybe rush the construction a little bit? Or do I hurry up and cut out the fabric to really like try to get things done to show Christian, and sacrifice the fit or the construction? So it's like, which one? You really have to like kind of lay out those priorities and try to figure out what's the most efficient way to do everything. But that first challenge, it's like, there's no habits built. There's no like, I don't know, like, I feel like that first challenge was almost a rehearsal for every challenge that came after that, because it was like, okay, now I've done the first thing, I can now like go forward and keep that whole thing forward. But like, yeah, that first challenge I was like shaking the whole 2 days, the entire 2 days.
Are you living with the other contestants on the show outside of participating? Like,
oh yeah,
you all are becoming good friends and then competing against each other?
We're a family. I don't think we compete, because if you watch the season, And you notice every single person had a distinct point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I don't feel like a lot of the other seasons had. A lot of the other seasons, there was like, okay, there was two people that like really used black primarily, or there's always been like two people that did menswear, or there's two people that do avant-garde. This season, it was like, I was the one that designed with pink, and then Victoria did the cutouts, and then Jeffrey did avant-garde, like Rick Owens realness, and then Nancy had this amazing textile manipulation, and then Sergio was like beautiful, gowns, and like the tailoring was impeccable. Like every single one of us were in this like box that the others didn't even really like take their, tiptoe in. Like it was just like we owned our territory. And I think that that's why it got so hard in the end, is because at that point we are like the avant-garde challenge. It's like hone into who you are and who you are as a designer, your aesthetic, and do something so amazing and avant-garde. But it's like, how do we compare each of you to each other? Because you're your own person. And it's so subjective. Like in that moment, it is so subjective. And it's just like, which one do we like more? Because all of them are really showing their identity in their garments. So we can't really judge on that. So I think, it's not really a competition. You forgot that it was a competition, honestly, like while we were competing. But now, we talk all the time. We have a group text like chain. We're actually doing a virtual happy hour tomorrow night, all of us.
So fun.
I know. So yeah, we're just one big fam.
So after Project Runway wraps up, you head back to Austin, is that right? Yeah. And then did you just get back to designing?
No. Okay. So like, I actually have not really told a lot of people this, but I got back. Yeah, that's exclusive. Nobody tells you like how weird life is after competing on reality TV immediately following. Like I got home that night, like landed on the plane, got home, and I was just like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. I have bills to pay, like I don't have anybody like waking me up or like, telling me what to do.
How long were you shooting then?
I don't know if I can say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The production side of it, but long enough.
Long enough that you were like, what's happening?
It was a new reality. Mm-hmm. Long enough to be a new reality. And I come home and like, now I have my phone and I'm open up to like the real world, but I can't tell anyone obviously until like we're announced as the cast and they got the promos together and everything. So it's just like, you don't realize what life is like when you get back, because I get back home and I'm like, what do I do now? Mm-hmm. So I honestly took about a week to sleep, like just be kind of dead to the world and pretty much eat everything. Cause I didn't eat a whole lot on the show. I don't know if you watch episode 1 to episode like 12, there was a 22-pound difference.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah.
I have to go back and just like look at a picture. But it was something where like, I wasn't like intentionally not eating. It was something where I was so focused on what I was making that it was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even eaten. Like, that's crazy. Let me just go grab a protein shake really quick, So like, when you're so focused and you want something so bad, it's like, I wasn't starving by any means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I came home and I was just like, what do I do now? Took a week, and then it really just like hit me, like the inspiration, the motivation. And I did a whole collection right before we got announced. So I had something like fresh and I was like, I'd come back and I've been working, but I wanted to do that.
And where do you find inspiration for your collections? Like I saw even just on your Instagram, you were sharing like the butterflies and just it's very happy and bright. And I like that. Where do you get the inspiration?
I find inspiration in everything. I feel like I find inspiration in imagery and landscapes, prints, patterns. The crazy thing is I found a lot of inspiration actually longshore for my, oh my gosh, how many collections? It's like, I think it was like spring, summer 18 or something like that. One of the previous collections that I had done like a year or two before that we filmed, I had found inspiration in Ashley Longshore art. And I merged Ashley Longshore with Lyndon B. Johnson's wife, who they call Lady Bird Johnson. And she has this like conservatory here with all the butterflies and the flowers. So I merged like, this idea of like weird Austin historical, like landscape, very, very organic with the pop art side of it. And I merged those two together. And then I walk in and she's like the judge for our 7th challenge. I'm like, what altered reality is this? Like, this is not real. So that was super exciting. But, I just find just like everything, like I found inspiration in robots like one year. That was fun. And I like mix these like weird origami things. May have made no sense. I don't know. Maybe I was like really feeling like Japanese culture or something. But everything. And I just try to bring it back to what my design aesthetic is. And I think for women's clothing, sophistication women's clothing has like this very strong stereotype. Like you have it, like if I tell you, think about professional women's clothing, like as a professional woman, what do you wear to the office? And what pops up into our mind is something very like black and white. There is no gray area there. It is a pencil skirt and a white button up top. But I think redefining what sophistication looks like and also making it fun, that's okay. Like it's 2020. I think it's okay to make something for a woman that makes her feel, you know, very powerful, very exciting, but also very feminine too. And she knows like she's a woman and she's going to be making a statement when she walks in the room. And I think it's okay to bring in that pink, and pink is sophisticated. But that's why I swear this whole thing will follow me for the rest of my life. Betsy Johnson and Dolly Parton.
I saw your little bio too.
Yeah. I put it in there because I was like, this thing will follow me forever. But it's like Betsy Johnson, she's very girly and she's fun and flirty. But Dolly Parton is a little bit of tacky. Like, I mean, if you want rhinestones, if you want like some cleavage, girl, rock it if you got it. You know, I think taking it to like fashion to the max is okay, like Dolly does. But then also this baby that they have was raised by Anna Wintour. It's like the classy and sophistication. It's like she has that deep in her personality, but she is a sophisticated woman. So it's like, I tell people that and they're like, I have no idea what your brand is about. And they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense now.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, you have to be creative and give the world something new.
Have to. I mean, if we're just creating something that's already out there, then what are we doing for the industry?
Something else that I noticed that you shared about, if you feel okay talking about, is you had a stroke, which at a very young age. And that's just such a crazy thing to happen to someone. And you shared kind of on your Instagram about how you made the best of it by, you know, working through it and then just really embracing life. So I'd love to hear like your motto with life and how that affected you.
Yeah, that was the whole thing was crazy. And honestly, it was very like it put me back into a place where it makes you appreciate every little thing in your life. And even just like the smallest thing of writing your name, you don't know how lucky you are to be able to write your name or to pick up. Like, it was so crazy. Like right after my stroke, almost days after that, my husband dropped a penny and I like went down to pick it up and I literally couldn't use my hand to pick it up. Like my hands didn't move. So I did feel sorry for myself for about a week again, like almost right after the show. I slept a lot. I was just like, what am I going to do? You know, I hope this comes back. We were back and forth calling doctors, trying to get in to see really what had happened, to get to the deep root of it through that week. And then whenever I went into the hospital, it was like a 6 to 8 month appointment that we made for my neurologist. And we were like, we can't wait that long. Like, you know, the brain is so elastic that you have to reteach yourself almost immediately within like days after your stroke. So went to the hospital. They told me I had a stroke. And then I just pretty much woke up the next day after coming to the hospital, coming home. And I was like, this is not going to be my life. Like, I have worked so hard for this. And this was actually like, I had applied for Project Runway, but I hadn't gotten any interviews to go back to like the finals or anything. So I was just like, oh my God, that too. Like, I'm not going to be able to go to finals. I mean, they're going to be like, you can't sew if you can't even write in your name. Like, we're not going to be really taking that liability. But,
and that just kind of happened out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. I was literally on an airplane from from LA to Austin, and it happened mid-flight. It just out of nowhere. Yeah. And I didn't know what happened. I mean, that's something like that's never happened to me before. I'm very healthy. I'm 29, work out 2 to 3 days a week. I know you can't tell, but I like wine a lot. But I love to cycle. And I have no like underlying conditions. It was very, very crazy. And, you know, the more that I actually tell people the story, I hadn't told a lot of people just because I was like, I don't want this to be something that people feel sorry for me. You know, I don't want to go on the show and use this. Like, you know, I didn't want to be that person that whenever I'm in the bottom 3, I'm like, well, I've had a stroke and like, this is the reason that you should keep me. And then people think that that's why people kept me. Like, I never wanted anybody to feel sympathetic for me because I worked really hard, but also, I mean, I'm very motivated and independent, and I wanted to get there on my own. But yeah, it's just, I didn't want that outlook from the public. So I just that wasn't something that I really wanted to use as a story. But the more that I actually tell people this, this story and talk about the stroke and how crazy it was out of nowhere. This is a common thing. It's actually a really common thing. Like I hear from a lot of people that's like, oh my gosh, I was 27 or I was only 32. One of our friends' friends actually collapsed in the airport parking lot, and he was 30, and he like somebody had to find him, and he couldn't lift his legs. It was crazy. Like it's a common thing. So, if you think you're having a stroke, tell someone.
Yeah. But it did get like, I mean, I love that you aren't the person that wants to, dwell on it. You're recovered from this, and
it made me a better person.
Do the same.
Yeah, it made me a better person. It made me realize that I did take a lot. I took advantage of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost actually like, I mean, obviously, I never wanted a stroke to happen to me, but I'm happy it happened when it did. That was the best time for it to happen, because then I was able to go on to Project Runway and really like soak up everything and value it and fight for my life. Like I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying that like I'm the mean girl, I'm the bully, like all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. We all gave each other shit all the time. Like we all just like kid with each other. We would, push, but in the end it is a competition, and every single one of us gave it just as much as we took it.
Mm-hmm.
But we all were a family. So there wasn't really any of that. But, I fought for my life on that show. So.
But I'm sure even on this show, like edits and things that we don't get to see all of it. So I'm sure there are plenty of really great times.
Well, you're living your life for weeks in this house with, 16 different people in the beginning. So it's like, I mean, how are you supposed to get, they should do like a Project Runway Big Brother, to where like people
behind the scenes from the home,
like, ooh, yeah, Brittany and Sergio are eating dinner. Like it would be hilarious to like, I don't know, no privacy would be hilarious.
So for people that want to become designers, I mean, it's a job that people dream of, but I'm sure it can be like easier to just go get a 9-to-5, and you can be discouraged.
Oh, it's so much easier.
So, like, what's your advice to those people?
I think you really have to figure out what you give to the industry. You have to figure out if you ask yourself, what am I doing for the industry that hasn't been done? And if that response is already really something that's out there, then think about how you can contribute to the industry in your own unique way, because everything out there has already been done. So if you're looking out there for inspiration, you're going to be creating something that's based off of fashion that already exists. So really just be yourself. I always tell like my students whenever I would teach, almost act as like you're a horse at the Kentucky Derby and put those blinders on and just like create without looking at anybody else's work. Do not compare yourself to anybody. Be yourself, because that's really what people want to see. They want to see a very distinct point of view. They don't want to see you look like Diane von Furstenberg or Kay Spade. Like they want to see Brittany and how you're different from them. So it's like, put the blinders on and just really hone into what that is, what you feel like you can contribute, because that's really the special thing for you to showcase that. And it is a risk. I mean, you gotta take a risk. You gotta spend money to make money, honey. Oh my God, this industry is so expensive. There's a lot of overhead.
And I feel like it's one of those things that if you just love it, then you should go for it. People that are designers are just, you all embrace this like feelings and you just love your work.
Life is too short. Life is way too short to not do what you want to do.
But with your designs, are you have anything in the works that people should be watching out for, or?
Yeah, you probably saw it on my Instagram, but I just did, like, right after the show, I came back and I was just like, oh, I'm really motivated. I want to do something very inspirational. And I was really, really like emotional with the color pink. And I really wanted it to be color motivated. So I started out with this like white blush. And then I ended the whole collection as like this neon magenta. And it was like this ombre of pink, which was supposed to signify like my whole progression of finding myself a designer, like doing Project Runway, really being where I am now. So I got that out of my system, but now I'm back to the crazy prints. I'm going to be mixing some really crazy stuff together, which I'm super excited. I've got some polka dots and leopard. I've got some beautiful pink brocades. And then I'm actually working on right now it's like a watercolor print, but it's like really beautiful detailed butterflies that look like they're flying all over the fabric. and I'm going to do some different colorways with that, but it's going to be like a repeat print that's just really, really organically beautiful.
And really quickly, I did remember reading something about you actually changed your major. So were you considering not doing design at one point?
Yeah, I actually didn't learn to sew until I was 19. I started out in college as a pre-nursing major. So yeah, I would have been on the front line right now instead of back here making masks. But yeah, I failed a class in college. I think it was anatomy, and I made an F. And I was like, maybe nursing's not for me, because anatomy is one of those foundational classes that you kind of have to pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took a sewing class, and I really, really loved it. Took a couple more apparel classes just for like my electives, and it was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I changed it, and it's all history. But I'm not the girl or, like the designer that's like, oh yeah, I came out of the womb sketching, and like, I wasn't 4 years old whenever I was using, my grandmother's Singer. Like, I learned in college at 19. But I think that there's something really interesting about that and really special, because when you're an adult and you find a passion, you almost just, it's, you eat, breathe, sleep. It consumes you completely. And so now that I found that as an adult, it's like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to make sure it happens.
Yeah, I love that. That's wonderful. So Brittany, for people that want to keep following along with you, or maybe they have some more questions, what is the best way they can reach you? Or if you want to share the places that you like for people to interact with you.
Yeah, I feel like now in a digital age, like I'm on Cameo, I've got, my Real Talk Live. I'm also on Instagram at BrittanyAllen.atx, and I upload, I try to upload something every single day to where you see like in the studio of me and what I'm working on. And I just want to be really interactive with my fans. I want to be a brand, but I also want to be the face of my brand. And you guys just see like me draping one day or really constructing some of the pieces from my newest collection. So definitely follow on Instagram, because you'll get a day in the life of me. But I'm also on Facebook. And yeah, I'm very responsive on all my messages. I read and write.
And is it best to just shop your collection online? I mean, I know now things are a little different, but in the future, will you be doing like pop-ups or fashion shows and things?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a pop-up. I'm going to do a virtual pop-up.
Oh, how fun!
A bunch of new like merch. So right now, if you kind of like look at my website, it is pretty merch heavy versus like fashion heavy, just because right now in this time, COVID is just like insane. People aren't really buying fashion. They're buying things like masks and t-shirts and sweatshirts, things that make them feel good. And that's what I want to provide right now. And in turn, it's kind of good because that merch is going to, be able to fund my newest collection. And so it's kind of working out. But I'm going to do a virtual pop-up where I start launching some of the last bit of merch. I think there's like 7 or 8 styles, this is one shirt that I'm going to do. It's really cute.
Oh, yeah, let's see it. Fun. Yeah. See all the bright colors.
I know. So yeah, this shirt, and then I got a really cute little like, I don't even know what they call it. Ashley Longshore told me what it was called because I asked her. But it's like a butterfly, and it's got like little bananas around it, and then like lightning bolts around it. It's like symmetrical. I don't know. It's really, really cute. And then I've got some really cute little like butterfly swarm tees that are screen printed, but they're cropped. And so I really want to do some like kind of virtual pop-up shop where people can log on and kind of see the merchandise. And I'm going to try it all on. I'll wear Spanx, don't worry. But I'll put on all the merch so you guys can see me wearing it and like when it's going to be released, and yeah.
Yeah, that all sounds great. Brittany, thank you so much. You were a pleasure to chat with. I think you've brought so much inspiration, and I can't wait for people to watch and hopefully follow in your footsteps.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Stay safe.
Thank you. You too.